We good? Yeah. All right. Hi, everybody. Good evening. Hello. Welcome to this talk about fostering Bitcoin communities. I've written a little talk before we continue. Fostering a Bitcoin community faces challenges such as scalability issues, regulatory uncertainty, and the need for widespread education on blockchain technology. Additionally, addressing security concerns, promoting inclusivity, and navigating differing opinions within the community are ongoing challenges. Effective communication and collaboration are crucial to overcoming these obstacles and building a resilient and thriving Bitcoin community. I am honored to be here with three community members now, and out of three, one is been going for a while now, and the two have started in this last year. We will start from the first side, Mr. Chuma, right? Did I get that name right? Chuma Magusha. He works with Bitcoin Ikasi. I was there in January 2023. I left and he joined, so I couldn't hang out with him. So we'll hear from him. After that, we have Glenn Joost. I got to meet him in December, same time when I got to meet him, and he said that he's going to start this community called Bitcoin Ubuntu in Swellendam, and they started supporting a football team down there in Swellendam. We'll hear from him also more. And now next to me left here, Mr. Humphrey. I got to meet him in Lusaka back in my journey when I was visiting, and thanks to Anita Posh's work with Bitcoin for Fairness, he came out as a toxic maximalist who really just loved Bitcoin. And we hosted a good barbecue. This was really nice. Anita Posh really helped us to host two Bitcoin meetups. One was in Zimbabwe where we had a personal photo shoot. Everybody got their portrait made. And in the second meetup in Zambia, I got to meet the toxic community, having a braai, having the barbecue. So that was really nice. So I will start. I will pass on to you so you can introduce yourself and say something. Then I frame my questions.
Good afternoon, everyone. My name is Truma Makosha, and I'm the head surf coach at the Surfer Kids, which works with Bitcoin Ikasi in Muscle Bay. Yeah,
Good afternoon, everyone. My name is Glenn Jooster. I'm co-founder of Bitcoin Ubuntu in Swellendam, a community outreach and education initiative.
Hello everyone, my name is Humphrey from Zambia, Lusaka. I am a member of Bitcoin for Fairness in Zambia, and also I'll be part of a new initiative, secular economy in Livingstone, the southern part of Zambia. Yeah, it's called Bitcoin Victoria Falls.
All right. This is so good. I've got to visit all these places, so that's pretty nice. And I really love the Bitcoin communities. I guess this is the approach to from bottom to top, thanks to Mike Peterson's El Salvador's project called Bitcoin Beach, which has started this movement. And now we have more than 25 circular economies running around different parts of the world. But it's not very easy, and everybody faces their challenges. And how do you guys, I would just start and everybody can just answer one by one, passing on the mic. Victoria Falls, you have just started this thing. How did you start? Like, why did you start? Let me start by like, why did you start? If you all could just stay on by that.
All right, so the initiative was started by there's a certain guy from the US. He's a Bitcoiner. His name is Adam. He visited Livingstone, the Victoria Falls. So after he visited the area, he liked the place. And what happened was when he left, when he went back to the US, he came up with an idea and of starting a secular economy like there around the Victoria Falls. So he tried to reach out to people in Livingstone who could be willing to teach people and just onboard merchants about tell people about Bitcoin. But of course he couldn't find any, and that's when he reached out to Anita Posh. Yeah, so it was Anita Posh who told them about us, that we are actually Bitcoin maximalists or just Bitcoiners in Zambia. So that's how we connected with him. So he told me about his initiative, his idea. I liked it. I said, okay, I love Bitcoin. I'm a Bitcoiner. It's freedom money, and I could love to be part of it. Anything that I can do to help. So that's basically how it started. Yeah, and in a few weeks it will be officially in working in progress. that side.
Okay, when did you start? When?
Yeah, so basically it will launch in a few weeks in February.
February.
Yeah, that's when you watch.
Um, well, actually, Paco, you're partly to blame. It was you and Mike Peterson stopping to meet us in Swellendam. I'd been throwing around various ideas as to how I could contribute really to the Bitcoin space and start being active in building a Bitcoin community. And I'd been following you for a while. I'd been following Herman and Tando and those guys for quite a while. And of course, Mike Peterson. You all of you great Bitcoiners just served as inspiration, really. So looking around, I'd recently moved to Swellendam, and looking around for other Bitcoiners, I just didn't find. I just found people that had been ripped off by investment scams, crypto scams, and I wanted to do something to change that.
Okay, so firstly, I'll say the Surfer Kids nonprofit in Mossel Bay was established in 2009 by Herman Verveer and his wife Jania. It's basically an organization where we try to empower marginalized youths through surfing. And I can imagine, as everyone knows, 2019, 2020, COVID hit. And obviously, in order to run these organizations, you need funding from people from all over the world, local people, to donate whatever they can in order to make it work. So when COVID hit, I mean, our center was very close to closing down. But fortunately, Herman has been a part of this Bitcoin space for the past 10, 11 years. And he looked at what was happening with Bitcoin Beach and decided, oh, hold on, maybe we can try something like this in Mossel Bay. And that's when he started Bitcoin Ikasi. Yeah. So that's how Bitcoin Ikasi, our project, started to, come into existence.
All right, man. This is so great to just see how you guys have started. Like everybody has a need in their life, personal need, and think problem is the reason we start using Bitcoin. I guess some are really poor, and they want to get rich, and then they buy Bitcoin, and then they start trading Bitcoin, and then they lose their Bitcoin, and then they ask us what's the best coin to buy. So it's a nice circle. It is the yin yang of our life. I love crypto. I do not hate crypto. Thanks to crypto, Bitcoin outshines always every crypto that is available. So more than hate, I love crypto being there. The yin yang, the black white, the hot cold. I'm really good. Would you like to just share with people here what are the challenges? Because I guess some people are listening live also, and they also have this hope that you can start, or it's an attempt to start a circular economy. What are the challenges you have faced or you're going to face? You would have had a SWOT analysis, right? Strength, weakness, opportunity, threats. Something like that. You want to share what are the challenges?
So I'll just speak from the Zambian perspective. Yeah, so I think the first thing I could say the issue we have in Zambia is that a lot of people have been introduced to Bitcoin first. I think they have been scammed, a lot of people. So every time someone hears Bitcoin in Zambia particularly, they associate it with a scammer and anything like that. Yeah, so I think the challenge that we have in Zambia is education. People don't know practically anything about Bitcoin. Yeah, it's like when you tell them about Bitcoin, they tell you, okay, how do I join? How much should I pay? And all that stuff. Yeah, and so there's need for that. And another thing is user interface. I think that's an issue in Zambia. It's like it's not exactly easy to buy Bitcoin and to sell Bitcoin. I think that's the issue that I've been facing. Let's say if I talk to a merchant about Bitcoin, okay, this is Bitcoin, right? So how do I sell if I want to sell it? And then, okay, what is of Satoshi, but how do I sell it? You have issues like that. So there's also that issue. Yeah. Otherwise, we really need Bitcoin in Zambia because of inflation and censorship and all that stuff. And also there's this thing of, especially young people, there's employment issues. So some people opt to find jobs online. now be that friction sending and receiving across the border money. So that's an issue. So that's something that we really need to look into, and Bitcoin is like the solution to that. Yeah, I can say.
I think in the beginning, one of the biggest challenges for us was trying to find a community or a group to work with to begin with, because similarly to in Zambia, when we put out words that we're going to have regular Bitcoin meetups, we were called scammers before anybody knew what we were about, what we were doing. We were just assumed to be scammers because of the stigma that surrounds Bitcoin. And I think that's largely due to the massive scams that have just burned through here, like MTI. Just it hurts so many thousands of people. So if they weren't hurt directly by such a scam, they know somebody who was. And so that was probably the first kind of adversity we faced, was just kickback from the community. Then the next thing we had to figure out is, well, when we realized we're the only Bitcoiners here, was how do we get Bitcoin in circulation? Because there's no point in me going to a merchant and saying, accept Bitcoin, I'm going to be your only paying customer. So that was the next problem we had to try and address. We approached various charity organizations, basically following the lead of Ikasi, trying to find a good project that was already doing good work in the community and develop those relationships of trust. We approached probably 3 or 4 before we ended up at the soccer club, which was an excellent opportunity in that the other problem that we faced was finding a neutral venue where anybody could come and participate without having to pay an entry fee or buy a drink. So what the partnering with the sports club afforded us was access to the sports ground, which was, I think, key for us to get started, was just to have that neutral, accessible venue. That in itself came with a whole bunch of its own challenges, because in partnering with another organization, they come with all their own issues and difficulties and teething problems. So, at the same time as us trying to launch, they're trying to become a formal non-profit. So it's been very much kind of 2 steps forward, 1 step back. It's been, it hasn't been easy, let's put it that way. But we've learned quite a lot this year, and I think we take what we learned last year and hopefully build on it this year.
I think it's safe to say we've all been called scammers. But yeah, so firstly, I'd like to say, how do you explain to someone who doesn't have a high school education, what is this Bitcoin? How do we go about this? What is it basically? So one of the biggest challenges is education. It's very difficult to explain to people who've never had access to a mobile device that actually there's this type of money that you can use, But unfortunately, with our organization, is that all the people who work for the organization live in those communities, So they've got people to hold accountable, people they can point out and they can say, oh, actually, he's the one who introduced me to this. And that's actually helped us gain traction in pushing Bitcoin adoption into the community. It's because the people who work for this organization, who are earning their salaries in Bitcoin, actually live in that space. They live in that township. And Lutando was actually the first guy to earn his salary in Bitcoin at the Surfer Kids. And over the past 3-4 years, Lutando's been able to onboard 11 shops in that township. So literally all the Bitcoin that we earn, a lot of it stays within the township that we live in. If you want to go wash your car, you use Bitcoin. You want to get a haircut. Well, I can't cut my hair now because I got a chisco, so I just cut it myself. But I mean, we've got there's a good number of shops, and services that can be provided for people in the township. But I won't lie, in the beginning it was very hard because people are very skeptical. Like you said, most people were introduced to Bitcoin as a scam. But over the years, with us staying in that community and obviously with the support of the founder Herman, we've been able to gain a bit of traction, and I can comfortably say we are actually slowly building a circular economy in Joe Slovo Township in Mossel Bay.
This is so true. Like I remember, you said Livingston, right? There's a Jolly Boys backpackers. He's an anarchist. He's lost a lot of money, but he has made a lot of money too. He loves gold, and if you go down to his hostel, his B is written with B Bitcoin. So that's pretty cool. So you're in Livingston, on this side. On the other side also, there is a cafe in Zimbabwe that accepts Bitcoin. There's a cafe. I don't remember the name. I have to look back. So that's pretty cool. So you all have challenges, and you all are doing this to bring more people who will start believing in Bitcoin. And it is not very easy. And yet you all are doing this, and you get up every morning, and you still talk Bitcoin, or are you guys tired of talking Bitcoin?
Yeah, so it's interesting because I think the first when we first entered into Bitcoin, for me it was I wanted to make money. By then I was in university. Yeah, and then it's like you go for the money, you stay for the freedom. So basically that's how it goes. Yeah, so like when I think about my country nowadays, when I think about my country, I see there's inflation, and then the currency is devaluing, and then you see the gap between the poor and the rich in Zambia is crazy, because the richest people in Zambia, they are storing their wealth in real estate. So the poorest, they are like, they don't know what to do. It's like it's hand to mouth. So I see Bitcoin as something that can help anyone. Yeah, there was a time when I posted something on us to say that the most important form of charity right now in the world is helping with Bitcoin adoption, because you are able to touch the life of everyone, and I feel like it's extremely important. I think that's one of the things that gets me up. I say, okay, I need to talk about this thing, and it's also exciting to talk about it. So yeah.
I've forgotten the question.
Do you get tired of talking about
No, I get more and more passionate about Bitcoin every day, man. The longer I'm here, the more Bitcoiners I meet, the more I love Bitcoin. I mean, I don't think I don't think my focus will ever change. I'm down the Bitcoin rabbit hole now for good, and for the better too. It's changed my life, and that's why I want to share it with other people, because it's brought so much benefits to my life. I want other people's lives to be impacted similarly. I mean, 2 years ago, had you met me, there's no ways you'd believe that I'd be sitting here I wouldn't even be at a conference. So it's really kind of brought me out of my shell. It's given me a new kind of lease on life.
So definitely, I'll never be sick of speaking Bitcoin, because I've seen firsthand what it can do in a community. When I look at what's happening back home in Mossel Bay, I mean, the Surfer Kids have 11 full-time employees that are all paid in Bitcoin. So that's 11 families. We've got 54 kids in our organization, that are all earning rewards in Bitcoin. So if I can just say that, so basically Mossel Bay, we've got 54 kids that are part of our organization. And early last year, we introduced Bitcoin NFC cards. So basically, we look at the child's attendance, and if you have really good attendance, if you've been attending for, let's say, 80%, we give you rewards in Bitcoin. And surprisingly, a lot of them are saving it. But those who choose to spend it, guess where they spend it? In those townships you onboarded, So it stays here. So I've seen firsthand what it can do for a community, and also with time, it's become a lot easier to use Bitcoin with apps like Bitrefill, for instance. I mean, I never really have to exchange my Bitcoin unless I'm paying my sister's school fees. But other than that, I just go into Bitrefill. You can do groceries, you can go shopping, you can do literally. I mean, I bought these jeans with Bitcoin. So I've seen firsthand what it can do to a community. So yeah, definitely Bitcoin all the way, bro.
All right, so I'm going to keep adding my anecdotes to this because I've been to all these communities and I've stayed in their houses, and I have stayed in the Nikasi too for 4 nights. A lot of cockroaches, true. That is very true, and I'm very glad that Aubrey got the cockroach in her hair. That got you a new center. That's for you. Something I really, so I have reached a point in my life where I don't wear Bitcoin t-shirts anymore. I have become very chill. I've become like a no one. I've become very calm because of one thing that really I couldn't understand and couldn't come to understand after traveling 2 years was how do you teach these humans time preference? Now, giving a reward is good. Spending for your shoe is good. I got really tired of doing this after 2 years, you know. I went out to all these places and hosting Bitcoin meetups, hosted so many meetups. How do you teach that time preference to somebody who's already hungry, but that, hey, you have to save this Bitcoin? Like, how do you want to start? All right. And then trickle down.
So honestly speaking, it's very difficult because mostly where we stay, people use it as a means of exchange. You know, it's very difficult to ask someone, you know, who needs food for the next week to save their Bitcoin. You know, as much as they are earning or getting some Bitcoin, they're not getting that much. You know, so that's still a bit of a difficult one if I'm being honest with you. But yeah, at the moment, most people are using it as a means of exchange. You know, it's not so easy to save when you have nothing. You know, but hopefully, you know, people can start saving a little bit, even if it's just 100 sats or 1,000 sats. You know, I mean, in the long run, it will bring something meaningful. But then, what else? Yeah, I think I'm done. It just slipped my mind. I had something, but it just slipped my mind.
Well, just if you want it back, if you remember. Yeah, I don't know. I wish I had a good answer for that. It depends on the individual. Some people, unfortunately, despite my best efforts, don't seem to. I doubt that they will ever get it. I've worked really hard, for example, with the founder of the Spurs club, and over the year he has gone. Also, it's the same thing. They're not paid a lot, so the coaches were paid just a very small amount of Bitcoin to introduce them to how to use it, how to spend it. And of those individuals, and we introduced a fair number of them because they had quite a high turnover of staff. The majority of them would spend that Bitcoin pretty much the moment they got it. They knew, as soon as they knew how to spend it, they would. But that is largely because they are in situations where they're just desperate. I mean, they've got kids to feed. They're not in a position really to save. However, in amongst those individuals, there are some of them that took enough interest in learning about Bitcoin to the point where, despite the fact that they couldn't afford to save much, they made an effort. So even the coach, the founder, after a year now, the club has made a decision no longer to pay the coaches, unfortunately, but he is now not prepared to spend those last sats. He's holding those sats for dear life. So it finally get there. I think it comes down to education largely.
So for me, I see it as, because I was just studying myself and I'm like a study case in this situation. I could say the type of money determines the time preference of people. So if there is bad money, people want to spend, so they don't want to save. They want to get rid of it because it's losing value. Yeah, so what I've found is, I think for me, because I was also kind of a spender in a way, but when I discovered Bitcoin, I realized, okay, this money is stored in energy. I began to save. So I feel like my focus is more like on just on the education, and I've noticed from my small circle of friends, if I educate them about Bitcoin and then they understand something, they tend to want to hold on. So their time preference lowers in a way. So I feel like the type of money, as we educate them, their time preference will begin to lower like that.
Nice. education point. I'm going to touch on that education point. Um, there is something that I've noticed in Brazil and in Peru. In Brazil, they came up with a city called Rolante. They got 85 businesses to accept Bitcoin, but there were no spenders. And the same thing happens. Second example is El Salvador. Have you been to El Salvador? Okay, so let me break your bubble. El Salvador, everybody does not use Bitcoin. All right. Yeah, yet. And they still prefer the US dollars because ease. And there are also a lot of businesses that are not accepting Bitcoin because there is no spenders. And how would you tackle this situation if it happens to you? Since you're going to start your project, you have your project there. There are some businesses that accept in Swellendam.
Well, what you're describing is exactly what we've been going through.
So how are you going to tackle that situation? And we're going to end up with you at the Chuma. Yeah.
Yeah, so on that one, yeah, it's tricky. I think there's a law on that one. I heard the law called Gresham's law, whereby it says that good money drives out bad money, or the other. Anyway, yeah, so basically people want to hold money which stores value. Yeah, so I feel like I was looking at Bitcoin Ekasi. I feel like the strategy is good. It's like you have to bring up an initiative so that people earn Bitcoin. Because if you earn Bitcoin, you'll be forced to spend it because you need food, you need to eat. So, yeah, so I feel like that could help in some way. Yeah.
Yeah, that was exactly the thinking in finding some kind of a team or project where we could start to pay the staff in Bitcoin, because otherwise it would have to be me going to spend my Bitcoin all the time. So that's why we started to pay those coaches in Bitcoin. And once we got them to the point where they understood how to use it, understood why it was important, we'd then go and approach the spaza shop that they would frequent, around their house. But unfortunately, none of those coaches stuck around long enough to the point where we could get a spaza shop on board. We came close twice, and then we lost the coaches. The next coaches lived in a different part of town, and we kind of went through that more or less the whole year. So far, no luck with onboarding spaza shops. We managed to get a couple of farmers, a bookshop, without too much trying. So we'll see what this year brings. As I said to you, the soccer club put a hold on the salaries, but now they have no volunteers. So we're still in talks with them. I think probably those salaries will come back later this year, hopefully, and then we can hopefully get that ball rolling again.
With Bitcoin Ekasi, I think we're fortunate in the sense that, like I said earlier on, we've got 11 people working there who earning Bitcoin. We also have parents who work for the Surfer Kids on a part-time basis, And like I said, we've got 54 kids in the organization who also spend their Bitcoin in that community. And I think it's very important to mention that it's a small community. It's not a very big community. It's very concentrated, so it also makes it a bit easier in that sense. It's not a really large population. So those 11 stores that we've onboarded in our township, the amount of people who have Bitcoin or who are earning in Bitcoin in that community can actually accommodate all those stores. In fact, now we have shop owners coming to us and asking us, hey, listen, we want to start taking Bitcoin. So I think it helps that it's a small community, and also there's a number of people that are spending that Bitcoin and also earning in Bitcoin as well.
Yeah, I guess Ekasi has a very concentrated effort, and it's very nice. It revolves around each other, and that's pretty cool. You touched the topic of education, and something I've really noticed is most of the circular economies that are around the world are an NGO. That means there is some money coming in from outside, and hence it is working. That means tomorrow I can come in and give you XRP tokens and say use XRP. You will use XRP because that is free money. This is happening not here, but in Brazil, in Peru, in Guatemala, South Africa, Bitcoin Cowries, Ghana, Uganda. So it's basically an NGO effort where the money comes in, and you're using it. And you talked the point of education now. how do you see that? What are you going to educate that this communities become self-sustainable, that they do not need to always take the money that's coming, but they become self-sustainable? I ask this is because in South Africa, every parent gets one child, and then the government pays 500 rands per month till the age of 18 years. And then you have four children, so you get 1000 no 2000 rands every month. So what kind of education that are you talking about that will make this a self-sustainable community? Because Bitcoin Beach, El Salvador wasn't found out of one Bitcoin or three Bitcoins or 10 Bitcoin. It took thousands of coins. Who has these thousands of coins? I mean, so how do you make this self-sustainable in education terms? Let's start with you and then end off with the master of Ikasi.
Yeah, so I think you mentioned that there are some projects which people offer money so that they do them and all that. And it's funny because I've noticed in Zambia, because I've attended some in Zambia, what they do is there's this attraction that they use that you make money quickly and all that. Yeah, so I feel like to make Bitcoin community sustainable, for me, I feel like I have to focus on the actual use cases of Bitcoin. So in Zambia, I feel like the number one use case of Bitcoin is inflation, as an inflation hedge. Yeah, so people invest in Zambia. We've got a local stock exchange. Some people invest there. Some people buy bonds. But of course, those things are all correlated to the kwacha, our currency. So the kwacha is going down, so investments are all going down. So I feel like people really understand Bitcoin. They really get the education. They will use it despite whatever incentives that's there, because it's something that you are using for yourself. Yeah. Or not only that, also, yeah. Anyway, I think inflation is the main one. Of course, we have also something like I talked about cross-border payments. It's a bit easier. In Zambia, if you are receiving money internationally, the bank that I used to charge me something like $15. That's in Swift. It's a fixed charge. So if you work, let's say you also online, and then you make, let's say, $40, and then they get 15 out of that. It's like you remain with less, and it's crazy. Yeah, so understanding the real use cases of Bitcoin, I feel like it's the only way to sustain our communities. And we thank God that Bitcoin is not just a coin on the internet. It really has some real use cases, so I can say.
I think it just comes again back to education. The more people we can educate and get passionate about Bitcoin, the more it'll be sustained. It's just still so early. I think we've got a lot of work left to do.
What was the question again?
How do you make it self-sustainable?
Okay. Like I said earlier on, we are at an advantage because it's such a concentrated community, and also what's happening in our township is that, well, let me first say this: that's the whole point of a circular economy, is to keep the Bitcoin circulating amongst the people living in that community. Like I said, we have 11 shops that we've onboarded, and everyone buys from each other, And I mean, those sats are floating around in that community. And I think it's going to happen organically over time, with more people adopting Bitcoin, more store owners. I think it's going to happen organically, similar to how, let's say, money works in the world. I mean, you go to a business, you buy some bread, he needs to go take his bread making machines for maintenance, he goes to another guy. He needs fuel to deliver the bread, he goes to another guy. So I think with our community, it's going to happen organically. And I think, like I said earlier on, we are at an advantage because it's such a close community. And I hope that does.
Okay, so education, I guess Anita Posh will add in more on that later, because she has done. It's tomorrow? Yeah, Anita Posh has done really great work. She has gone down and she has documented everything. I went around making videos, which was very easy. And I was just flying above, high in the sky, enjoying my life, thinking like, yes, I'm traveling. Yeah, but Anita Posh was working. She really went on doing Crack the Orange. I was enjoying my orange juice only. Life was good, but education is something that I've understood is important. And I really was hoping all of you would say we would do education in regional language, but none of you said that. Regional language in your local language. How do you do that? Yeah, that one. What's that called? What's the language called? Closa. EC Closa. In that, if you can teach Bitcoin to those 54 children, I mean, something might connect. And as for you, as for English is your language, and for you, what do you speak? How do you say hello in Zambia? Huh? Banji. Muli Banji in Malawi, and they're Banji. All right, good.
Well, as a part of Bitcoin Nikasi, we do have an education center. So we've got two centers. We've got the surfing center, which is down at the beach. So that's where I'm in the water with all the kids, teaching them how to surf from the young age of 5, 6 years old until they can handle themselves and become surf coaches themselves and teach other kids. But we also have a Bitcoin Nikasi center, which is an educational center up in the township, where sometimes you have those kids who aren't really interested in surfing the sports in itself, but they find the center as a safe haven to get away from everything else. And over there, we actually have a teacher that works for us full-time, an educator, and she basically helps the kids, with reading, numeracy skills, and also teaching them about Bitcoin. So they're also actually going, some of them, the ones from the age of 14, 15, 16, they're currently doing the Bitcoin diploma that was adopted in El Salvador first. So yeah. So yes, there is something like that happening.
On that note of the Bitcoin diploma, when we started to offer that to the soccer club, I did make an attempt to translate that into Afrikaans for them, but my Afrikaans was not very strong. So we did, I think, the first 2 chapters in Afrikaans, and then they were all happy to switch to English. But I do believe that Meprimer Bitcoin just got a grant to translate that material into 21 languages. So I'm hoping Afrikaans will be one of those.
Awesome. So, guys, I think so we're going to hit out the time. Anybody wants to ask one question? Oh, we got 2 questions. Great. So, you guys have no last words. We're going to go over the questions. We'll start with 1 with you and the 2 with you, yeah?
Thanks everyone for the inspiration. I'm in a situation where there's no adoption that I know of. I don't know any Bitcoiners in my town even, so I feel very lonely at the moment. So you guys give me the inspiration to to keep going, and hopefully I'll start making connections back there and start thinking about how to kickstart something. But I was just wondering about, do the shops that accept Bitcoin, do they also sell the SDCO vouchers? So in other words, if somebody works for fiat, can they, with their education, know that it's a wise thing to get an SDCO voucher and immediately convert to Bitcoin to change from weak money to strong money?
Yes, they can. So Lutan, how many shops do we have that? 14 shops that do it. Okay. Oh.
Yes, that it can work. So now we are using Cape Crypto, the exchanger, the new exchanger. So you can buy 1 voucher and then load one voucher there, and then you're gonna get some Bitcoin. Okay, cheers.
So I'm just kind of wondering, it sounds like Bitcoin's being used as the medium of exchange for the most part, not yet the unit of account. So they're still denominating the goods and services in Rand. And I'm wondering if, because it's so early, they haven't had a chance to experience the number go up technology, whereas this week I bought a soda, it cost me 1,000 Satoshis, and all of a sudden next week it's 900, then it's 800, and it's 5. Like, so that trigger, like, why is everything going down in value? Are we just too early to, despite your best efforts, have that click in their minds that, oh, everything's getting cheaper in Satoshis versus more expensive in fiat?
Oh, that's a lot of work for you guys.
Well, like you said, for most people, it's a medium of exchange, so they've never really experienced that. But I will say there is one store owner who's been saving for how long? It's been like 3 years. Nosihle? Yeah. Myself and Lutando went to go have a look at her wallet, and she was doing pretty well for herself, and she'll be doing even better next year. Yeah. She gets it. Yes.
I mean, it's so true. Like when $1 was 4,400 sats. I have been traveling from $60,000 to 16,000. So I've seen it all just go down, and now from 16 to 20 to 30 to 40. So God bless ETF. I'm really happy for this. And yes, yeah, it's no today's 40,000. Anita was on stage. It was 37. You said 37. I opened my Google. I'm like, is it 37? Anita is like, I'm in middle of this 40 kilometers far from Harare, trying my lightning wallets. And I was like, why is Bitcoin going down? This number go down technology is understandable for the people. It's a lot of work. I'm just going to tell you, there was one store that I came across. Oh yeah, in Brazil, there's this one crazy guy there. He's starting a Bitcoin city. He wants to take Bitcoin to metaverse. He's gone off a different route altogether. But nonetheless, he was a heavy donor and he loves Bitcoin. He went to this restaurant and his entire menu was priced in Satoshis. And we were like very happy about it. And then next day, the Bitcoin price went up. So they had to change the menu. Then the Bitcoin price went up. It was the time, like in the start of the year, from 20,000 to 25,000. It's a lot of work to do that. But if you can do this in your store, examples, like when people come buy in Satoshis, it will be very helpful. Like downstairs, if you buy a t-shirt of Bitcoin Ikasi, is 30,000 sats. So that's pretty amazing. That's less than $13. So please do buy yourself a Bitcoin Ikasi t-shirt. Support this initiative. And I really love you communities. I'm happy that there is a bottom to top approach because we are great humans. And there is this top to down approach also, thanks to Samson Mao, who flies private jets and meets all the kings and queens. He's a great guy. I really appreciate it. He's got a new wallet now out and all love. And I'm really thankful that you're taking out your time. I'll just say this to you. I can't do this. Don't expect me to start a circular economy. Nah. I will come. I'll appraise you. I will cheer for you. I will support you. I will give you wishes. But I'm not going down that rabbit hole. I am outside here. But so you guys are really amazing. You guys are going out of the way. You're sacrificing. You're going back to the basic roots of Bitcoin, that is sacrifice. These coders used to do their 9 to 5 jobs and then used to sacrifice their time to work on Bitcoin. And that Bitcoin they used to hodl. That was the only way of earning money in the back in those days. And these guys, this is what you're doing. You're making your own little citadel. So congratulations. And thank you guys for listening. Thank you.